everyone, how's it going? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to Real Board episode number 1. And today we're going to be talking about Raya. I'm not too sure. I think Raya and the Last Dragon is the name of the movie. It is the brand new Disney animated feature film that is doing the premiere access. So it's being played in some theaters, not Cinemark for some reason. And of course, you can get it for $29.99 on Disney Plus, which means you can watch it as much as you want until it comes to Disney Plus. I actually have seen this movie now roughly about 2.5, nearly 3 times in the last day. My children absolutely love it. My girlfriend absolutely loves it. And I thought to myself today, as I was sitting here trying to find what to talk about, I've been bored. I've been so bored. Nothing seems interesting. Everything's a fight. That's what it feels like. So I'm like, I just want to have a stream of consciousness about a movie. Because, you know, I do the Podio commentary where I do breakdowns of films. I talk about their production history. This is just like kind of talking about the movie, not really a review, kind of like just my thoughts on it. So Raya is a movie that had a little bit of controversy kind of leading into it. The lead actress, who they originally had cast, right, was actually recast because she was not from Southeastern Asian descent. And that was actually a big factor. A lot of people were upset about this. This movie is very representative, very inclusive in regards to the Asian demographic. However, a lot of the cast are of East Asian heritage, with the exception of Kelly Marie Tran, who I believe is Vietnamese. And that got some flack from some people. Now, right now, the movie is sitting at about 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, out of about 210 or so critics, with an average rating of about, 7.7 out of 10. And that's pretty good, actually. I will say this. The movie is definitely better than a 7.7. The movie is high 8s, low 9s. Quite a bit. I really like it. So if you don't know what the story of this movie is, the story is about a fictional land called Kumandra, which is rampaged by this evil spirit species called the Droon, which is they feed on people by turning them into stone, and then that's how they multiply. Now, there were dragons in Kumandra 500 years ago. They were dragons aplenty. They were all over, but they couldn't fight back against the Droon well enough, and it got down to just a couple of them left, and they created this magic gem, and this magic gem, this dragon gem, eliminated the Droon, but then turned every one of them to stone. And so then Raya ends up having to seek out the pieces once they are betrayed by a rivaling clan, and then they ultimately, turn everyone else to stone, unleash the Droon, and she's trying to solve the problem. And then it picks up a couple years later. General story overview. Trying to be light on spoilers. Now, the first things first on this one. The animation, the music, the acting, all spectacular, all wonderful. I love it. Right off the bat, though, I could tell that this was part of a larger pitch to Disney, and it should have been. It is literally, it feels to me like it's Avatar: The Last Airbender, but for Disney. It feels so similar. And I maybe I'm going to be wrong. People are going to call me out on this one. I'm not too familiar with Avatar, but that is like the vibe that I get. Because you've got the 5 different worlds. You've got your heart, your tail, your spine, your talon, and the fang. Different parts of the dragon. They're all along this dragon, shaped river. Very dragon-esque. It's the whole point. That's why it's called Raya and the Last Dragon. And, there's a world there. There's a world there, and there's world building into the world. And the downside to it, though, is that, they don't spend enough time really building out the world. The movie, you have your intro, shit hits the fan, and then it cuts to 6 years later. And Raya is still searching for Sisu, the water dragon, played by Awkwafina. And that's her journey. That's what she's out there doing. So we get really no struggle for Raya during the 6-year period. We don't know what she went through. They just kick off right there. And literally within the first, the next 10 minutes, they get their hands on another piece of the puzzle. Without almost any, they just rush. This movie is like an hour and 47 minutes, I think, including end credits. And it just kind of rushes through the introduction. You know, it rushes through the world building. It's not necessarily even the best, like, you know, it's not even really necessarily like the best explained. That sometimes I have some issues with the way the magic is explained at the end, because it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, wait, hold on. How come if this can happen, then this is the result? Or, and again, I don't want to go into full on spoiler territory for people who haven't seen it yet. I'm just kind of talking out loud. But, you know, I mean, from there, like, you know, you get like the ragtag crew of people, right? Raya and Sisu find Boone, a little kid who's a chef, right, on his own. And then they get the Khan baby, you know. But they find Boone in the tail. They find her name is Noi, but the Khan baby in I want the Talon, right? Then they get, you know, what was his name? Tong, right? The big gruff Benedict Wong voice guy, you know, kind of comes across like he's the big softy, which I loved. And they get him in Spine, and Raya's from Heart, you know, and then they need to get someone from Fang. And so they I mean, obviously the whole moral here, the whole message here is all about, like, you know, trusting each other, forgiveness in each other, and working through your problems together. And there's a great line by Awkwafina in there. She says, in order to get trust, you have to give a little trust first. And that's true. Someone has to give. And that's kind of the whole point. And there's a line later on even by, like, the queen of Fang. And she's like, look, if we solve this, like, everyone's going to blame us for these problems, and we have to now think of ourselves. And she sets up this odd situation where she tells Numari, her daughter, who's kind of like Raya's enemy, right? And the antagonist in the movie. She's like, we're gonna have to, like, give Raya no choice but to, like, give up these stones. But then they never follow through on what she could have done. And I'm like, I mean, the example there is so simple. Like, everyone is turned to stone. So it's like, go and take her family. That's stone. You know, and then, like, look, if you don't give us the gems, we're going to, like, break them. You know, I'm like, that's where I thought they were headed. I don't know. The movie just, again, it just goes right into the third act. It goes right into the climax. And you're like, oh, wait, okay, hold on here. Like, there's more to this story. There's more to this story in regards to what Raya and the Last Dragon is. And that's, I think, probably my biggest criticism of the movie. Has everything to do with the fact that it's this very interesting tale, this very interesting world with very bright, colorful characters that I like quite a bit, that I want to spend more time with because I really enjoy them. Fantastic, amazing animation, fantastic water physics. I mean, hell, the water effects in this are some of the best I've ever seen. I know that sounds weird, but a lot of people kind of gauge the quality of the CG by the water. Does the water look realistic? Because I can kind of forgive everything else if the water looks realistic. And this world is full of interesting things. You know, the world is full of interesting people and in what's happened to these different clans over the span of 5-6 years since the Jurun came back. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, that would be a show. You know, it could just be called Raya and have it be like a prequel, you know, to, like, the last, you know, the main part of the movie, right? Have it take place after the gem breaks and before we catch up with her 6 years later when she's in Tail, and go from there. Give us all these characters and all, you know, because there's some seedy people in this world. There's some really seedy people. There's you know, like, there's one chieftain who, you know, like, that's how she gets rid of her enemies is by, you know, like, kind of unleashing them, or unleashing the Jurun on them. You know, like, that's how she has her control. I would like to know more about her. I'd like there to be more with her. So maybe perhaps getting some of that information and putting some of that information out there in a prequel series would do a lot to really kind of open this world up, because I know that, like, you know, they're doing another Big Hero 6 show, the Baymax show. And the reason why I bring that up is Don Hall was director here, was one of the directors, along with Carlos López Estrada. And Don Hall co-directed, he directed Big Hero 6. So, you know, and they are adapting that over to television, and they're doing that with Zootopia, and they're giving Doug from Pixar's Up his own show. So why not give us a Raya show? Now, it all really depends on how well this thing does on Disney Premier Access. I know Cinemark isn't playing this movie, and they have a lot of theaters where I live, so I can't go see it in the theater. But yeah, I mean, look, overall, the movie is really well done. It's really interesting. I really enjoyed it. And I just kind of wanted to do this like kind of off the cuff stream of consciousness chat about it because of how fascinating it is. And maybe you guys would have seen it and caught something that I didn't. Maybe at some point in time, I'll do a patio commentary on it, giving more of a full on background. And there's not too much here to really pull from if I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. But if there's any movie you want me to talk about that you think I would have seen that I just want to go through in these real bored episodes where I just kind of like talk for 10, 15 minutes about something, let me know down in the comments section. I'll definitely chat with you guys later on. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again. Check out Raya if you haven't already. Definitely, if you don't want to spend the $30, I understand that. Wait till it comes to Disney Plus. It will be there soon enough. Or go see it in theaters if you can. I think you'll really like it. All right, everyone. I'll chat with you later. Have yourself a good one. And peace.